I think I'm live. I know some of y'all thought I might have disappeared off the face of the earth. I didn't go anywhere. Hey, first of all, I want to say I'm sorry, but I'm only sorry to my admins and my moderators. I'm not sorry to the general public. Sometimes I need to download everything that was on my pages, and the only way to accurately do that is to shut those pages down. Some people think I should give y'all a warning. Some people should think I should give an explanation on shutting those pages down, but I'm not going to sit here and try to explain why I need to download and get those things archived. But so that's all I'm going to say about that. I didn't go anywhere. Nobody shut me down. Don't be listening to the conspiracy theories. Nobody's coming after me. I'm not being blackmailed. I haven't been kidnapped. And damn sure Facebook didn't shut me down. They love me. Facebook never shuts down Dad with a phone. So if my page goes dark, it could be for a number of reasons. But one of the major reasons I shut it down yesterday is I needed to get it archived. I needed to download the archive file and have that thing archived. Although I did take a much needed rest. So either way, let's get into what found everybody. Everybody exploded yesterday with information. And guess what? Dad with the phone didn't break any news. I didn't break any news yesterday. Didn't bring anything to you first. And you still survived, and you still have information coming in about the Gannon Stauch case. We're going to go over that information. I'm going to go back and watch her arraignment in jail. I'm going to go back and watch the interview with Michael Allen, the DA, who's going to be prosecuting this case. Let's see what he says. We'll talk about what happened in Kansas. Oh, Tisha Stauch tried to take out an officer. We'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about what we can expect coming in the next few days in this case, and we're going to continue to follow this. By the way, we will most likely, if the earth doesn't fall out, we'll be in court with Tisha Stauch next week on her arraignment and formal charges that will be brought to her, and we'll talk about that. So let's just dive right into it. We'll first watch. If you didn't get to, you probably already have. Oh my goodness, it broke somewhere else first. Let's watch her arraignment as she gets she was brought into court yesterday via video. Now, I do want to say that in the courtroom during her video arraignment, Gannon's parents were there. They were sitting on the front row watching. There was they didn't speak or say anything. There was very little, there was no communication with them via the press or anyone, but they were in the courtroom, and I expect they'll be at just about every court appearance that Tisha Stauch makes. So we will throw this up, and we're going to go through this. We'll talk about it. I'll look at chats. I'll be responding to questions in chat. But as we watch this case unfold, one thing I can tell you is you're going to have to be patient. There's going to be information that comes out here and there, and we'll be getting as close to this information as we can get with our sources. But now that this thing is in the system, the court system has started, I can tell you to expect little information until there's, the news media is going to go quiet. It's probably going to lose a media cycle. And I explained this in the Patrick Frazee case, but I'll explain it to you now. The news media works in cycles. And so this one has been in the cycle for a minute. But now that it's entered the court system, it's not going to disappear in the news media, but you may go a week, you may go 2 weeks without hearing anything in traditional mediums. So you can tune into Dad with a Phone. We'll be talking about it probably on a daily or bi-daily kind of thing. If there's any new information, we'll bring it to you. But when it gets it's almost like hurry up and wait now. We're going to have to hurry up and wait as we watch this thing unfold. So what we know is they've arrested Tisha Stauch. This is all out there. They transported her back from South Carolina via the paddy wagon, which makes me happy. But in that transport, there was an incident that took place in Kansas where she slipped out of her cuffs and attacked an officer. So then they had to make an unscheduled stop. The officer had to go to the hospital. There will be additional charges filed, and we'll talk about those charges that may or may not come forth right away. But I think those would be federal charges because she was most likely being transported by federal agents. And now all of a sudden, you got to be Colorado is going to be careful. The feds are going to work with Colorado because obviously the first-degree murder charge is the highest charge she's going to be charged with. But assault on an officer and assault on a federal officer across state lines would constitute federal charges brought up against Tisha Stauch. So she's adding to her rap sheet, and ultimately she's adding, and it really speaks to her frame of mind to think that you're going to attack an officer. That's escape. That's an extra 5 years no matter what, right? That's an attempted escape, and that is I think it's a federal charge, or especially because she's being transported by federal agents. That's an extra charge. So they're going to have some icing to put on the cake when they get this lady eventually. So let's watch the arraignment yesterday. It was done by video. Her next court appearance, from what I understand, the DA has said she will be there in person. We'll listen to him and see what he says about it. But she's going to have to be in person in the courtroom. We'll make sure to be there live as much as we can. They may not let us broadcast, obviously, live from the courtroom, but we'll try to give you as many live updates as we can, and that is allowed in the court decorum. I do think they're going to set forth some special decorum for this case, but I also think that from what Michael Allen has been saying, Michael Allen is the DA. Now, Michael Allen he is also on the ballot to become the head DA. This year, Dan May's term is up, and Dan May is not running because he is term limited. And so Michael Allen is potentially going to be our new head DA, and he's going to try this case. It looks like he's going to be talking to the media during this case. He's already spoke with the media, which means he's probably going to continue to speak with the media. He makes it very clear that he believes that the public has a right to know what's going on in our courtroom. So let's just hope that the DA doesn't try to put anything forward like they did in the Patrick Frazee case. Most of the stuff that came forth in the Patrick Frazee case to keep people quiet came from the prosecuting side, or from the defense side, but there were some things that came forward on the prosecution side that we'll see if Michael Allen goes that way. Let's watch her video arraignment, and we'll be back and talk about that.
To refrain from any audible comments or emotional outbursts. Thank you. With that, I'm going to go ahead and call on attorney CR 1358, Leticia Stauch.
This one, right, Michael Allen, officially.
Thank you, Mr. Allen.
Catherine Strobel.
Who do I got?
Sorry, Judge. Catherine Strobel on behalf of Ms. Stauch. She appears in custody.
Okay, thank you. And if you would go ahead and state your name, please.
Leticia Stauch.
And Ms. Stauch, you saw the video advisement. It went over your rights. Do you have any questions with regards to your rights? And Ms. Strobel, are you waiving advisement?
We are, Judge. We'd ask the court to set it for first appearance.
Okay. Have you had an opportunity to go over charges and possible penalties with Ms. Stauch, or do you need to do that at a later date?
Judge, we have advised Ms. Stauch of the arrest charges in this case. Obviously, when formal filing is conducted, we will do it again.
Okay. All right. So Ms. Stauch, at this point, I'm not going to read through the charges with you. Your counsel will do that at the appropriate time. I do need to set it for the first appearance I've been given the date of March 11th at 4 p.m. in Division 15. However, Mr. Allen, Judge Warner reached out to me and asked me to find out if you were requesting the 18th instead. I don't know if there's a need for additional time for filing.
Actually, if I can ask my victims that are in the courtroom, Judge, what date they prefer, I could be fine with either one.
Okay, and then obviously I'll find out from Ms. Strobel what her position is.
Judge, we're available either day.
Okay.
And Judge, we're fine with the March 11th at 4 p.m.
Okay, then this matter will be set for March 11th at 4 p.m. in Division 15. Ms. Stauch continues to be held with no bond. Anything else for today?
No, Judge.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, and you're all set.
So a very quick, they waive their right to advisement. What that means is normally at this video advisement, the judge would formally read the charges. They've waived that to their first appearance, which will happen, I believe, on the 11th. If I'm wrong, somebody else, I'll have to look that up. I didn't catch it because I was the audio was wrong and I was trying to read you guys' text. But what she did is she waived her right, her advisement or the reading of the formal charges. That'll happen in person when she's in court. What we do understand is that she will be in court, not video. She will be in court on her next appearance, which means they'll transport her to the courthouse. Now, something that'll be done way different than what you saw in the Patrick Frazee case is that this courthouse has what they call a sally port. They have an entrance for the police to come underground. And we'll show you all this down. We'll be live at the courthouse and we'll show you, but that she will actually be pulled underneath the courthouse. And so there won't be any circus tent out for her, and there won't be any news coverage of her going in and out of the courthouse. Now, I do believe they're going to allow what they call a pull camera, and that would be one camera in the courtroom, and that video will be released to all mediums. That's the way that the pull camera works. They don't allow 100 cameras in the courthouse, and so they'll allow one media camera in there, and then that video will be distributed amongst the media. Now, whether or not they're going to allow text or tweets or any of that stuff, we'll have to see. Some courtrooms allow it, some courtrooms don't. So we'll see what happens and we'll see how that plays out. The next video we're going to watch is an interview with Michael Allen, the DA, who's going to be prosecuting this case. He doesn't give a ton of info, but there is some things he talks about. He talks about the death penalty a little bit at the end, and why and how they decide. Now, he didn't really talk about why they decided not to, but they are not going to pursue the death penalty because Colorado right now is trying to repeal the death penalty, and our governor is most likely going to repeal the death penalty and take it off the page to be able to charge anyone in capital murder or first-degree murder cases with the death penalty. He's just going to abolish it. And so he talks about that a little bit. He also talks about how he wishes he had that still as a tool for law enforcement and the DA to use to leverage suspects. So let's take a look at his video real quick, and then we'll kind of get into what I think is going to happen over the next few weeks with this case. This is Michael Allen, the district attorney for the 4th Judicial District, and he is for sure running for office.
Can you tell us on the latest with the Letitia Stauch case?
Yeah, so we just got done with video advisement, which is just really her being advised of what charges she was arrested on. Those will not be the formal charges necessarily, although we probably will have the same formal charges. That will occur next Wednesday, 4 o'clock p.m. in Division 15. So that's where we are today.
Okay, is that also going to be the jail video advisement or the
No, she'll be
courthouse?
present in the courthouse. That
Okay.
day.
Okay.
About bond.
So she's being held on a first-degree murder charge, so she's being held without bond going forward.
Can you tell us anything about what her defense attorney has petitioned at this point?
No, I can't. Those are still under a protection order, basically, at this point. Any motions that defense has filed and that sort of thing. And again, the arrest warrant is still being sealed, so I can't talk about the facts. I'm not going to talk about any of those things going forward. She is innocent until proven guilty. We need to remember that as well.
And talk about the importance of having everything under seal in this case, particularly help the public understand why.
Yeah, so the request for the affidavit to be under seal was made by law enforcement because it was made during the pending investigation. We want to make sure that we're protecting information so that if any suspects are found, that we can have some private information that they wouldn't necessarily have unless they're involved with the case. So that's typically why that's done. I'm not talking in a general sense when I say that. That was basically the request in this case, that we keep it under seal for investigative purposes, and it remains under seal today.
At this point,
Back?
Gannon's body still has not been found.
I'm not going to talk about the facts of the case at this point. I want to make sure that we're not trying the case in the media.
Why was she brought back over land rather than by air?
That was a decision made by law enforcement, not necessarily by the DA's office, and so I would have to refer you to the law enforcement.
Any speed bumps on the way home?
I have no idea.
Is it true the judge asked for the advisement to be today? Because typically an inmate, it takes a day or two after they're booked. Can you talk about that and why that request was made?
I'm not sure what led to the advisement occurring today at 1:30 as opposed to tomorrow at 1:30. I got the notification and came over to the courthouse, so I'm not sure why it came up so quickly.
In general terms, are cases without a body more difficult to prosecute?
It's a new challenge on a case like a homicide case without a body, but it doesn't necessarily make it necessarily more or less difficult.
How long until you guys think the affidavit will be unsealed?
It would be impossible to guess at this point.
And would your office support media coverage during the court proceedings?
Generally speaking, I think the public has a right to know what's going on in the courthouse. I don't have any particular position on that. It's up to the judge.
Would your office be willing to make a deal with her in return for locating the body?
That's way too premature at this point to even have that discussion.
You said not having a body provides new challenges. What are those challenges?
I think those challenges would be obvious, and I don't want to get into the facts of this case, so I'm going to avoid answering that question for now.
In terms of previous experience with your office, though, we did just do a trial without a body.
Sure, but every case is different. We need to keep that in mind as well.
What would you say to Gannon's family? Stauch.
When I talk to Gannon's family, I just want to make sure that they remain patient. This is going to be a long, drawn-out process, and they need to keep that in mind. We're in the justice system now, and it's going to take a long time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Michael, do you have any worries about not being able to use the death penalty as
Keep rolling.
Please say that again.
I guess, do you have any worries about not being able to use the death penalty as a tool for a plea deal?
So again, I don't want to get into talking about potential pleas in this case. It's way too premature for that. I am disappointed that the death penalty is going away because it is a valuable law enforcement tool. Absolutely.
Why is it valuable?
Because it's used oftentimes to hold the most egregious violent offenders accountable.
But it doesn't go away retroactively.
It does not go away retroactively, so potentially there could be still a death penalty sentence in the state of Colorado. I anticipate, though, based off of comments made by the governor, that he will commute the death sentences that are currently on the books. So for all intents and purposes, if that happens, the death penalty would be gone in Colorado immediately.
You said it can be used in some of the most egregious cases. Would you call this one of the most egregious cases?
I'm not going to get into the facts of this case, and that would be getting too close to that.
Well, a couple of things I want to talk about. One is that the DA will lie straight to your face on the news and not even flinch. He'll even give a little smirk. In my opinion, there is absolutely no way he didn't know about the speed bump in the transport back. What you need to take from that is he will lie to your face and not even worry about it. All right? I'm not saying it's bad, good, or indifferent. He could have said, I don't know what he could have said. He could have said, I'm not going to speak to the speed bumps along the way, but he said, I am not aware of any speed bumps, which in my opinion is an absolute fabrication of the truth. We would find out shortly afterwards. Law enforcement said that she tried to make an attempt on a deputy after slipping out of her handcuffs. And so one thing you need to take from that press conference is that dude will lie straight to your face and not even flinch. So understand that like what he's saying is not necessarily the truth. That doesn't mean it really just means he ain't going to tell you everything. He's going to tell you what he wants to tell you. And when he doesn't want to tell you something, he'll lie to you and say, I don't know about any speed bumps. I'm unaware of any speed bumps. And so understand that they don't have to tell the truth to the media. They don't have to tell the truth to the public. They will lie straight to your face and say, oh, we don't know nothing about no speed bump. Fat lip. I don't know how she got a fat lip. I'm not sure how that happened. So understand that the DA doesn't have to. I want to answer a few questions that came up in chat. Where is Dan May in this? Well, you have to understand Dan May is retiring. He's done. His term is up, and this is an election year. Michael Allen is running for election for the head DA's office, to be the head DA, to be the DA. He could have said, I'm not at liberty to discuss, someone said, probably, whatever. He kind of did though with the flinch. Well, it's only because you're reading into it, right? Only because we're reading into his body language, and because hindsight is 2020. Yes, we know Letitia Stauch tried to overtake an officer after slipping out of her handcuffs on the ride home. They made an emergency stop in Kansas, had to take the officer to the hospital, had to put her in a county jail. The fact that he didn't choose his words carefully and just said, I'm unaware of anything, I don't know anything, is a little bit of a fib. Okay, that's a straight, in my opinion. Now, is there a chance he didn't know about her slipping out of handcuffs on the way back? I just don't see on any green earth that he didn't find out about that. So I feel like that's a straight up lie to the public and the news. Whether or not you agree with that lie, or whether or not you don't agree with it, whether or not it's ever going to come back on him. The only place it's going to come back on him is on Dad with the phone. But understand that he lied to you guys right then, and he will probably lie to you again. You got to understand what in these cases, they will lie to protect the integrity of the case from the public. So now I do not believe, and from what I understand and from the communication that I have from people and the family, is that they have not found Gannon yet. And so I don't think he's lying about have they found the body or haven't found the body. The challenges that they will face prosecuting Letitia because they don't have a body. But I want you to understand that they will lie to your face to protect the integrity of the case. Case in point, we all know that she tried to escape during this transport. He just said, maybe he took it literal. He was like, I don't know if they hit any speed bumps. Do you know of any speed bumps between here and South Carolina? I don't know if they put speed bumps on the highway. So if he took that question literal, he could be telling the truth, saying, yeah, maybe they didn't hit a physical speed bump. Now, if someone would have asked specifically, did she try to escape? And he said, well, I don't know. Maybe that's the way he figures he didn't lie, because he answered the literal question about speed bumps and not the figurative question that we would later find out that, yes, there were some complications where she got out of her handcuffs, assaulted an officer. The officer was put in the hospital, and she was booked into a county jail because they had to take the officer to the hospital. So Not that it's a big deal or not. The death penalty stuff, you understand that he does point out the governor is going to repeal that and then is going to put like a stay on anyone who's been given the death penalty. And so it'll be interesting. Also, now, right now, another thing that you can kind of read from this, they didn't ask the question, but I wish they would have asked straightforward to this DA, has there been anyone else taken into custody in this case? No one asked that question. Shame on you, Ashley. Shame on you, Laura, whoever else was there. You guys should have found out, or at least made him lie to us, or say that he wasn't going to talk about other people in custody. It is my understanding, just my understanding, that no one else has been taken into custody in the Gannon Stauch case. That doesn't mean they haven't spoken with other people. That doesn't mean they haven't questioned. They've questioned everybody, from the 17-year-old daughter to the sisters to the family members to anyone that has any information that, or they think they could have had information. They have definitely tried to question them. Whether or not those people were cooperative in the questioning, we won't find out. Some people have asked, when are they going to release the affidavit? Well, a couple of things that'll happen. One thing will happen is we don't know if they've released the arrest affidavit to the defense team yet. Now, some people say, well, they have to release the affidavit to the defense team or the arrest affidavit or the arrest warrant, but that's not necessarily true. In the Patrick Frazee case, we saw the DA try to hold that arrest affidavit as far back from the defense as possible. In other words, they didn't want to release it to Patrick. Now, they had a good reason why, because we would find out later that Patrick Frazee was trying to put a hit out on some of the witnesses. When they release the arrest affidavit, it is possible it could list potential witnesses, potential statements made by witnesses that would then put witnesses in danger. And so they will try to hold that arrest affidavit as long as they can, whether or not it's been released to the public yet, or no, to the defense yet. And so if they haven't released it to the defense, they're damn sure not going to release it to the public yet. We will see it come out eventually, but it will be maybe something that is filed in motions either by press or by the defense team. They may file a motion to get it released to them. And once it is released in front of the judge, it becomes public knowledge. And so right now it's under seal. The information in the arrest affidavit is under seal. Most of us can kind of take it for what it is, as if, you know, the probable cause comes from a lot of things. They did say that they made the arrest based on statements earlier on, based on statements that she had made. And so we know that she did an interview with the press. We know that she did multiple interviews with press, written and video. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens when they do release that affidavit. She isn't insane. No, I don't think she's insane. I don't think she will. What will be interesting is how she pleads. Okay, if she pleads not guilty, obviously this will go to a trial. But if they offered her some sort of deal, in other words, could they offer her a deal to have information to them, where is Gannon's body? Now, this is where this is going to get interesting, because at this point, I don't believe they found Gannon's body, which would mean they believe Letitia Stauch did something with Gannon's body, put Gannon somewhere. Now, we know that she rented a car, and within 28 hours, she rented a car for 28 hours, and in that 28 hours, she put 955 miles on that car. To put that in perspective, she could have gone into 4 states. She could have gone into 4 different states and back to her house. That's where she could have driven to Utah. She could have driven to Kansas. She could have driven to Wyoming. She could have driven to New Mexico. She could have gone into Texas and Oklahoma, and New Mexico. She may have even been able to make it into Arizona and back in less than 955 miles. I'd have to look on a map and actually do the math, but in my personal opinion, she could have gone into 4 different or 5 different states and come back and still been around 955 miles. We do know that they've made major search areas above the Palmer Lake area and the Larkspur area. We also know that they did searches out east of Colorado Springs, up off of Highway 83. And so they are specifically looking in certain areas. There's a lot of rumors flying around about things that have been found or not found. I would say take those rumors for what they are. If you think that someone has a police officer who's investigating this thing and is going to give them information, no. Is there police officers who are not involved in the investigation that hear things that may leak information? Absolutely. This happens all the time in investigations where officers not involved, people not involved with the actual investigation may leak information. But I have to believe, even though we watch the DA lie straight to our face, I have to believe that at this point, because of the information I've been given, that they haven't found Gannon yet. I really have this feeling that, well, 2 things. I think that this could have been premeditated. Like, I don't think this was an accident with Letitia Stauch. I think there are some things that I have shown to you guys or revealed to you guys that her mindset may have already been in the mindset that I can get away with a crime like this if they can't find a body. And so I think she already had that in her mind. And so I would say that this could very well be premeditated. And if it was premeditated, then the question would be, how much forethought did Letitia put into, is there a way to make Gannon disappear where no one can find Gannon? In other words, is there a place she took him, dumped him, buried him, burned him, disposed of the body so that no one could ever find Gannon? Part of me wants to believe that maybe not. Maybe she wasn't smart enough. Maybe she wasn't premeditated enough, and that there is a chance that they are going to find Gannon. I would really, really like for them to find Gannon without her help, but I don't know if that's going to happen. And so if they use, let's say they take life in prison off, right? They can't take the death penalty off the table, but let's say we're going to give you 70 years. Maybe you'll be out in 50 or 40 years. If you give us Gannon, if you give us the location of Gannon. And so they still have some bargaining chips. The question will be, they will talk to the family. They will sit down with Landon and Al and different members of the family and say, do you want us to pursue finding Gannon? And that's going to be a number 1 priority of them, is to recover Gannon. But the other priority is obviously going to be to prosecute her to the fullest extent of the law. And they will weigh what the family says. Is it more important that she be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and she be put in prison for life? Or is it important for them as a family to have Gannon, if there is a possibility, she'll make a deal or she'll bargain with them to give them the location of Gannon? Would the family be okay with a reduced sentence of some sort? So there's a lot of things they're going to be weighing in this investigation to try to get information. Do you really think she wouldn't attack Sweet Gannon? She attacked an officer. Do you think the hike that they talk? I'm trying to read y'all's questions. Someone says they're certain she buried him. Not sure. She was fired from her job right before this happened. Yeah, that's an interesting thing that came out yesterday, that I saw that she had been fired from a teaching job. And then I also saw that D20 denied her a job. Definitely premeditated. Why do you think it was premeditated? The reason why I think it was premeditated is because I read some text messages from Tisha to someone else about another case, and that in her mindset, that other case, they were unable to charge the people with murder because they couldn't find the body. And Tisha says, well, if you can't find the body, there's no way you can charge somebody with murder. That's not true. That's just not true. We watched it unfold in the Patrick Frazee case. They didn't have a body, but what they did have was the story. And the question will be, do they have the story when it comes to this case? And what I mean by that is, so what they're going to have is they're going to have cell phone information. They're going to have GPS data information from a rental car. They're going to have GPS data information from their vehicle. They're also going to have the information that she gave via these interviews. They're going to have video evidence. They're going to have physical evidence from the crime scene. I believe they actually have a crime scene. Like, I believe they know where the crime took place. And so they're going to have that physical evidence. If they then have a witness that can give them some, without Tisha, say there's an alternative, there's someone else that knows the story. If they have someone who knows the story or has a story that they can tell, and then that story can be corroborated by the evidence, GPS, phone data, all of that stuff, they may be able to piece together the story without the body and still be able to charge her, obviously, and convict her of murder in that, with the witness story. That's what they had in the Patrick Frazee case, was they had the actual story, even though they didn't have the body. Some people didn't believe the story, but then we would find out later how those pieces would fall into place with the physical evidence and the story that Crystal Lee Kinney told. In this case, it's totally a different case. It's a baby. It's a young kid. It's a minor. But if they have a story that then they can push together with the evidence to prove that story, even if they can't find the body, they will be able to prosecute her and hopefully successfully prosecute her for the murder charge. A lot of people, and as things went, as history tells us, as the television tells us, as, drama, TV, if you don't have a body, you don't have a crime. But when it comes to kids, there is a reasonable expectation that, hey, what are you doing? Get out of here. I know, go play in your room. Don't say Isley won't, because she will. I'm also having to deal with kiddos.
Isley will think I'm getting something.
All right, go. Okay, fine. Okay, fine.
Dad, stop!
Okay, I'm sorry. Come give me a hug. You want to say hi to everyone? No? I just ticked off a little girl. I'm going to have to go deal with my girls. Let me see what y'all are saying. I think they do have a body. Hasn't said anything yet. I think they do have a body, but hasn't said anything yet. I'm going to disagree with you, only because everybody's searching for Gannon. And I believe that if they have a body or have Gannon, I believe that they would put the family at ease. I believe they would put the public at ease. And allow us and let you know that information. That's just my personal belief. That doesn't mean they won't lie to you. I've already said the DA will lie straight to your face and smirk about it. And so is there a possibility? There is a possibility that they have found Gannon, but it's not in my opinion. So don't be trying to spread rumors that Dad with the phone said they found the body, because that's just not what I'm saying. I'm saying, could they? Of course they could have. But I'm in contact with people in the family. I'm in contact with Gannon's mother. I'm in contact with people in law enforcement and people that are close to this thing. And that's just not the information being given out. I don't think they're going to lie about that. I also don't think that people can keep that kind of thing under wraps, right? If there was search parties and search people and people that were out there searching and someone were to find Gannon, and that information would literally spread like wildfire, and it would be hard to contain that information. And so this is why I also believe they haven't found Gannon. Do I believe they're going to find Gannon? I have a gut feeling that they are. Like, a part of me, if this wasn't premeditated, if this was something that happened, like something, she beat Gannon and he died and she freaked out and she had to get rid of him, I feel like there would be a better chance of us finding the body. But because I feel like this may have had some premeditation and the timing of it, she may have had a plan to where to dispose of the body not to be found. And so you gotta kind of look. You gotta kind of look at, do I think he will be found? I tell you, my gut tells me he will. I want to hold out hope for the family because I know it will bring closure, and I also know it will make it easier for prosecution to prosecute her. I do have to tell you that there is a chance. There is still a chance that Gannon is alive. We have seen in the Jamie Kloss case where Jamie was missing for months. And then all of a sudden she appeared, and had been held captive. And I don't know all the evidence they have to hold Letitia Stauch. There could be a ton of evidence that obviously they are not releasing to us. There could be a full crime scene where they believe a murder took place, all this stuff. But there is a part of me that does want to hold out hope that maybe Gannon was kidnapped, that maybe Gannon is being held captive, and that at some point maybe a release or he escapes or something. And so there is possibility. We saw that in the Jamie case. And so we have to... You can decide how you feel. It's just a part of me. The other part of me knows that because the way this lady has acted, the interviews that she has done, the fact that she attacked officers, the fact that she did these things, points to the fact that she may have been very much the one who killed Gannon and is going to be prosecuted fully for that. So, but there is a part of me that wants to hold out hope, right? Because no matter what, the coolest, best thing in the world would be if for somehow Gannon is still alive and Gannon gets released back to his family. And so there is that portion of me that wants to believe that. Now, the difference is Jamie was older. The circumstances were different and stuff like that. There weren't suspects in this and stuff. So just kind of a thought. So the dad was out of state. And then they are pretty serious charges brought, so that would kind of hamper that they feel like Gannon, and they have to have some sort of information. Like with, again, this is a totally different case, but understanding that these are the same players when it comes to the DA. In the Patrick Frazee case, they knew something had happened in that apartment. They just didn't understand what had happened. They couldn't tell the story. But when somebody came forward to tell the story of what happened and they were able to put the pieces together, it made more sense. They may have information that you and I don't. There may be a particular amount of blood they have found. There are a particular amount of DNA and or a crime scene that they have put together and go, we know something happened here. We're just not clear on what happened, but we believe somebody has been killed here. That information is also another reason why they would lead to arrest someone for murder. So let's see. They had to have been pretty sure to charge her with first-degree murder, but the cops aren't always right. And if there could be any time that they were wrong, I would want them to be wrong in this case, right? If they could be wrong that Gannon was dead, I would rather them be wrong that he is dead and he is alive. You understand? Like if we were going to say, if there's any time an officer and a police investigators are going to be wrong, let them be wrong, right? And if Gannon was taken and then came back alive, I would rather us all have to eat humble pie and apologize to that witch than anything. I would rather have to apologize for what I've said about Tisha Stauch and Gannon be alive, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't necessarily believe the most that Gannon is alive, but there is a part of me that says, man, if there is any hope, if there is just a fraction of faith that he is still alive, I want to hold that, right? It's hard, man. It is so hard when you start thinking of a child and a stepmom that would do something to a child. It's hard. It's hard to believe that those people exist in our world. It's hard to believe that that a mother could actually do this. And then the fact that she could get on and talk about it. The fact that she could hold herself together to do an interview knowing that she's the one who did something. How crazy is that? How crazy. Apology, my left foot. She is pure evil. Yeah, the fact that she kept posting stuff on social media, they're going to use that shit against her. They're going to use that against her in court. They're going to use the fact that she kept doing these interviews. They're going to use every lie that she said against her, and especially if they can prove otherwise. And they have all of that. And so, that's good. Part of me, like part of us should say, we're glad she was stupid enough to do interviews. We're glad she was stupid enough to make Facebook posts. We're glad that she not only, lied about a bunch of stuff, that then she attacked an officer. This all speaks to her frame of mind, which will be able to be used against her in court. And so it gives them more ammunition. It gives them more ammunition to use against her. And so it just speaks to her craziness. It speaks to the fact that she isn't right in her mind, And so although she's done all those things, and we all look at those things and say, I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you did this. Those things are all going to be used against her, and they're going to give Michael Allen, the DA, ample evidence and ample bullets to fire at her, So yeah, well, Stephanie, when you ask when she attacked the deputy, where did she think she was going to go? That speaks to that she doesn't really think. It speaks to the mind frame, the mindset, And so who knows? I would love to hear that deputy's story. That deputy will probably testify against her. The one thing I was worried about, and I'm not worried about it because I know they're going after first-degree murder, but they may also go after the assault on the officer. And it could very well be a federal officer, which would make it a federal crime. What I don't want her to do is get put in federal prison. I don't want them to convict her of the assault on an officer. And I don't think the assault on the officer would ever take precedent over the first-degree murder charge, which is a state crime, which means she'll end up in state prison. You just want to say hi to people?
But Dad.
Yep.
Can you come on? I need to ask her something.
Mom is in yoga class, so she's not going to answer her phone, but she'll be back in just a few minutes.
Yeah, but we're going to go to Dirt Wars.
Then y'all are going out.
Yeah, but.
What are you going to wear?
This.
You don't think you need a little something else on?
Oh, it gets hot, man. Yeah, it gets really hot. You're running around everywhere.
So you should probably put at least maybe get a hoodie and go brush your hair. You need to go brush your hair.
I don't need a hoodie because it's very, very
yeah, but
hot.
Is it a little cold outside?
I don't know. I haven't been outside today.
Okay, but you do need to brush your hair because you got some tangles. You want to say hi to everyone?
Hi.
There's a lot of people watching, like 1,500 people.
Oh, wow.
What do you want to tell them? Tell them, hit that like and subscribe button.
Hit that like and subscribe button.
On Dad with the Phone.
On Dad with the Phone.
Now get out of here and go brush your hair. Crazy. Don't jump.
Don't make me fall.
Don't make you fall.
Bye.
Oh, I love my kiddos. Where is everyone at? We got a lot of new followers on Dad with a Phone. If you want to take a second and put your location in the chat, that kind of speaks to me on where we're at. I saw someone say they're from Kentucky, so that's what made me think about that. I know we do have a lot of new people following Dad with a Phone. I want you to know that Dad with a Phone is not just a true crime channel. And so there'll be some things that I talk about that have nothing to do with true crime. Sometimes I'll just take you on a fishing trip. Sometimes I'll take you walking with my kids. So don't get mad at me if every video I do isn't about true crime. I think I want to, can I switch gears for a second? Can I switch gears for another crazy though? Can we talk about another crazy for a second? Because I didn't catch up on this. There were actually 2 crazies being transported over the last couple of days. I want to talk about Lori Vallow, which is a whole nother case, not in Colorado. This one isn't close to me, so I have to rely on information that is coming from news sources and different people, just like you have to rely on information. But that Lori Vallow lady is crazy as well. And let me see if I can pull up Lori Vallow. Back in, she just got transferred back. Lori Vallow, this was released a couple of days ago. This is via the news. So let me see what we can see what this is. I think this is going to show some court stuff. I just want to get a update on the Lori Vallow case because I haven't watched these yet, but we're talking about the same crazy kind of people, different crime, different everything. But in a sense, these women are just as crazy as each other. So, did I not do that? I don't know if I did that. Yeah, I did. I must have clicked it. Just stop sharing, share screen, boom, check.
Idaho mom, suspected of being involved in the disappearance of her children, arrives back in her home state today to face charges. She's being held on $5 million bail since her arrest in Kauai last month. Her 2 children, 7-year-old Joshua Vallow, known as JJ, and 17-year-old Tylee Ryan, have not been seen since September. Jonathan Bigliotti is in Rexburg, Idaho, where Vallow will appear before a judge later today. Jonathan, what are the people there saying about this case?
And good morning to you, Gail. Residents here in Rexburg, Idaho knew that this case turned a new chapter when the FBI rolled here into town. This is their mobile command center. It is parked here behind the local police department. As they continue to collect evidence, Lori Vallow will appear tomorrow before a judge to face charges that include child abandonment.
Lori Vallow appeared before a Hawaii judge for the last time Wednesday before being extradited to Idaho. She's facing several charges, including 2 counts of felony abandonment in the disappearance of her children, Tylee Ryan and Joshua J.J. Vallow.
This is the first step in the courthouse in Idaho, which trigger a cascading series of events in the legal process.
Vallow could face up to 14 years in prison for each count of desertion of a child. Her Idaho attorneys have filed routine court documents asking the judge to reduce her bond and requesting documents and evidence from the prosecution.
Just tell people what's happening.
I have no doubt that Lori Vallow would love to know what the FBI and any other agency is doing in this investigation. So what's the easiest way to do that? File a motion for discovery and see if you can get everything.
JJ's grandmother, Kay Woodcock, is in Idaho for the hearing.
I have total 100% belief that it's going to happen. She's going to be held accountable 100% for everything.
Attorneys for Lori's adult niece, Melanie Pulowski, who's also faced questions about the children's whereabouts, say she is now cooperating with FBI investigators and has surrendered her computer. In addition to the case of the missing children, 3 mysterious deaths surround Vallow and her current husband, Chad Daybell, including Vallow's previous husband, Charles Vallow, her brother, Alex Cox, and Chad's previous wife, Tammy.
The government may want to use this case in order to get them to fess up some information about all of those other suspicious deaths.
And sources tell us that investigators are now looking through a trove of digital evidence that could show a network of foul play. Alex Cox killed his brother-in-law. There is now the belief that he could be linked to the death of Tammy Daybell. Cox died in December, Anthony, before he could be questioned.
All right, Jonathan, thank you so much. I'm going to tell you what, that's a crazy case. Like they haven't charged her with murder yet, but there is a very good possibility that they end up charging her with some sort of murder down the road of both her, maybe her ex, or being a part of her. I think her brother got charged with the murder of her ex, but then her brother mysteriously dies. Chad Daybell's family, there's deaths connected to him. That's a weird web of, and I know I just showed a brief moment of that, but that's a whole nother case that is twisted with mystery and craziness all the way around. So I did notice that she got transported back the same day that Letitia Stauch was being transported back. They had pictures of her at the airport and different things like that. But that's an incredibly strange, twisted web of death. 2 missing kids that haven't been found. And the thing is that even though they haven't charged her with murder yet, there is still the possibility that those charges are brought forth, especially if she is unable to produce where the children are and the children are not, if they are not alive. So another crazy case. Hey, thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for not disappearing like I did yesterday. And don't try to read too much into it. Your hair looks beautiful. You brushed your hair?
Yep. Why did you just kiss me on the eye?
I didn't kiss you on the eye.
Well, it felt like I saw your beard on my eye.
Did you? Thanks for joining Dad with the Phone this morning. We'll be back later today, probably with some more lives. And if any more information comes out, make sure to follow me at all the links below on my TikTok, on my Facebook, on my Twitter. If you want to throw money in the bucket, the PayPal link at the bottom of the screen is where you can donate to Dad with the Phone, just to help me keep doing what I do. Thank you, everyone, from Pennsylvania to Europe and everywhere else in between who's watching Dad with a Phone.
Bye.
And Ella. And we'll be back later. Again, everything's fine. Nobody's lost. Nobody's kidnapped me. There's no conspiracy around me. I simply needed to download some of my pages. So thanks for watching. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
See y'all on the flip side.